Welcome to the 26th episode of Teachers Glasses presents Bollywood TALKies with Outlook. I am your host, Mitrajit Bhattacharya, and my guest tonight is a huge star at 25 and one of the finest amongst the next-gen actors. He has already worked with legendary filmmakers like Majidi and Mira Nair. Let me welcome, without wasting any more time, powerhouse of talent, Ishaan Khatter, to Teachers Glasses presents Bollywood TALKies with Outlook.
Thank you so much, sir. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
You come from a family where even a piece of furniture can act. How was growing up amidst so many talent in the house?
It's interesting that you choose to use the word furniture, sir, because I'm in the process of furnishing my house in Bombay.
Maybe they can act one day.
I wouldn't know quite what to make of that statement, but well, they're definitely serving their purpose. And thank you very much for the very kind words. That was a very, very kind introduction. But I do have to agree that I've been fortunate to grow up in a household where arts and film and music and creativity is encouraged, and there is so much to be inspired from within the household. So that has definitely been, it's worked in my favor for sure. Yeah.
Wasn't Beyond the Clouds an unusual choice for a youngster looking for a career as a leading man in Hindi movies?
I've been asked it quite often. I've been told that it is an unusual choice. And of course, I'm aware of the fact that it's a rare opportunity. Seldom has this happened before, that somebody starts with a film with an Iranian filmmaker, their first Hindi film. But again, it's about the opportunity, sir. I have to credit it to the fact that I was in the right place at the right time. I was presented with the opportunity to have a shot at that part. I guess you'd see more of this happening if perhaps in the future maybe there's a door that is opened, because it's not a common phenomena, I guess. But it's not that I curated a debut for myself, or it just so happened that I was lucky enough to be presented with an opportunity which I think I fit in, and I think that I aspired to. To get an opportunity to work with Majidi was something of great value to me personally, because I'm somebody who is very inspired by cinema all over the world, by foreign cinema, world cinema, and I was aware of Majidi sir's. Well, not aware, but I was very. I was an admirer of his work. And I had actually found myself saying that hopefully at some point in life I will get to work with the likes of, and I took his name, and it just so happened that I was lucky enough to have it as my first film. So I think it's a wonderful time. The fact that such interesting crossover films, collaborations are happening is testament to the fact that we are stepping into a new phase. While there is so much division in the world that we live in, arts and films and creativity are also kind of evolving into the next step, and we are seeing interesting combinations of artists coming together to tell stories in a way that they haven't been told before. So,
how was the film offered to you in the first place?
I was summoned by the casting director, Hani Trehan.
Okay.
And he told me nothing about the film. He said, you have to come and meet me. Just come and meet me. And at the time, he was aware that I had already met with Karan Johar. I was, again, summoned by Karan Johar to his office. And he wanted he was making a film with young actors, and he wanted to see if I would fit the bill. And so Hani sir was aware of the fact that I had met with Karan sir. He said, I know that you are doing this, but just come and meet me, because there is an opportunity I want to talk to you about. And I went and I met him. I had assisted him on Urta Punjab. He was the second unit director and the casting director. And he then went on to tell me that there is a film that is being directed by Majidi in India, which blew my mind, obviously. And he said that I see you in the character, and I'd like for you to meet him. And in a few days, he had me in a room with him. I met with Majidi sir, and he asked me a few very basic questions. This is Mr. Majidi. And he said, can you ride a bike? And then he said, do you do any physical activity? And then he told me that he would do an audition, and he gave me a brief of the character. He said he's a young boy. He smuggles drugs. and he has grown up on his own from the age of 13. And then he gave me a couple of scenes from the film, and he said, just improvise the rest and show me what you've got, basically. And that's how that happened. And I auditioned for him, and the next day he said, lock him.
The very next film you went and did Karan's remake of this huge blockbuster, Marathi blockbuster, Sairat Dhadak. So how was the transition, and how was the commercial setup, which is we get to know so much about the Dharma production. So how was that experience?
I obviously was very excited about it. I was shown Sairat, and this is actually before they even told me that they were keen on remaking or adapting it. Karan tends to have, he does a lot of screenings for people that for close knit people of his, and sometimes we'll watch regional films, sometimes we'll watch foreign films, and this one fine day he was screening Sairat. I hadn't seen the film, I'd heard a lot about the film, and he invited me to come and watch it.
Okay.
And then after the screening, I was very affected by the film. It's a very impactful film.
Right.
Especially the end leaves you, it lingers for a while. And so I was in a daze. And then it was broken to me that they wanted to make this film. So right off the bat, I understood two things. First of all, that it would be a huge responsibility, and secondly, it's a great opportunity as an actor. Because again, there's something to chew on. It's a good role, and it's a good story to be a part of. It's something that resonated with me. So I was open to it from the very get-go. I was more than. I was with, and also when you get an opportunity from somebody like Karan Johar, you know that he's going to set it up in the best possible way, and he's probably one of the best minds in films in general, and he certainly understands our industry and the dynamic of the audiences in our country really well. So I knew that this is a fantastic opportunity, and then it evolved into, it was Shashank who would be directing the film from the very get-go. He's the one that wanted to adapt it. He told Karan that I want to make this film, and then the setup, once we began shooting for that, it was a complete opposite. Even the character was very different from Amir in Beyond the Clouds, and so it was exciting for me because it was easy for me to do the work. The half the work was done for me because it was a completely different world, a different milieu. It was a different kind of film. The fabric, the feel of the film, from every single person in the team was different. I worked with an entirely new unit. So it was like stepping into a different world, So that helps you as an actor make the switch. And it was. I'd only heard stories about how hospitable and how much Dharma Productions take care of their talent, and I experienced it firsthand with this one. We were given absolutely A-grade treatment, and we were taken care of, and never made to feel the stresses of the production. So there are a lot of challenges, but on a Dharma set, at least on this one, I've been on the one so far, you only have to worry about your own job. And that is acting. So that was great fun.
I want you to comment a line on the music of the film by Ajay Atul and Janvi, who made her debut in the film.
I was a big fan of the music from the original, and we didn't know till just shy of beginning our production that Ajay Atul would be finally doing the music of the film, and that was delightful news for me because they're amazing, and what they did with Sairat specifically with the 50-piece orchestra and what have you, it was just it was grand. It just took the film to another level, and I was so delighted to know that they'd be doing the music for our film. I also was told that 2 of the songs would be retained from the original. Those are Yaad Lagla, which became Pehli Baar, and Zingat, which stayed Zingat. So those 2 songs were my favorites, and I was very happy that we had them. And also the songs that they did for our film, the title track, Vara Re, both the songs were beautiful. They turned out really well. So that was just through and through, it was just a beautiful experience to have them do the music for our film. Yes, Janvi made her debut with that film. She was as committed, as I was to putting in the work. She's very serious and involved. She wants to be a good actor first, and then, a star. So that's one of the things that struck me about her first. So it was a really wonderful experience to be able to work with somebody who gave that kind of meaning and importance to the work.
Yeah.
So we were all very much in sync. Shashank wanted us to give ourselves to the characters, and not worry about how we would be presented and all of that stuff,
Yeah.
all the externality. And so it was a wonderful experience because what was really unique was we latched ourselves on to Shashank and we were able to actually go on the recce's of the film. And because we were playing Mewadis, we were playing locals from Udaipur.
Right.
And that gave us an opportunity to really observe the people and kind of spend time pick on the nuances, on their mannerisms, on their dialect. So that experience, I think, was a very important one in the formation of our characters and the language of the film. So yeah, that was one of the wonderful things but I really like to do that. I mean, I'm a stickler, for the directors, and I like to know what they're imagining the film as, how they want to treat it, how they hear it, how they see it. And so we were very fortunate that we had somebody like Shashank who not only tolerated but encouraged our involvement and our curiosity.
If Janvi is one extreme, Tabu is another. And that too in a passionately romantic role in A Suitable Boy. How did you break the ice with her?
I don't really know. I think the ice was broken for us. It was Mira who got us together to do a few readings. The early few reads that we had were in Malabar Hill in the house where she stays when she's in Bombay, and we just had a hoot of a time, and we got along, and we read a lot of the scenes through and through, and I guess found our synergy during that period. So that was really the icebreaker. But I think I would even credit it to her that she's very easy to get along with and to work with, at least for me. So it just I don't know, it just clicked, it worked, and then on set it was like the evolution of that. We were able to take it a step forward, and we were comfortable with each other, so we were able to I mean, she's of course who she is. She is a wonderful actor. She's one of the best that we've had, and she's at a stage in her career where she's been there and she's done that, and yet she's evolving. This is still a role that it's something that we've not seen her as before. It's still something she's still rediscovering herself. And so it was wonderful to be able to work with her, because I was able to simultaneously watch and observe how somebody at this age and this stage in their career conducts themselves, and also how they are able to recognize the working environment and adapt to it. So those are the two things that I was constantly observing about her, and then our synergy just happened. I don't really know how to put it into words, but it just worked.
Your character of Maan was probably the most layered in the miniseries, with a mega cast comprising more than 100 actors. How did you prepare for the character that, apart from being complex, also needed to be physical?
The character is both complex and physical, but those are two things that I was able to recognize from reading. He's doing a lot, in the series, and he's in different places, he's doing different things, and he was the character that really popped when I read it as a whole. If I were to be asked without any biases, I think I would say that Maan is a really fascinating character because he's also unpredictable. So I love those things about the guy, and also the fact that he is charismatic but reckless. He's likable but also unreliable. There's a lot of duality to him, and I've kind of I enjoy that in general. I've kind of had the opportunity to play that, or maybe I don't know. It's either you find that, or I've also just gotten opportunities to play that in characters. So I enjoy that. And but with Maan, it was more than just a duality. It was like, I call him a kaleidoscope of, he's just, there's so many sides to him and so many shades to him. I still feel like there is more to discover with Maan. And so yeah, I mean, it was one of the things that really attracted me to this part. And I think the physicality of it, I started to learn as because before we had mostly just done readings, and I didn't do much physical prep. for Maan. I was at the time also working on Khali Pili, which required a certain physical prep in terms of.
Right.
I mean, for me, I see physical prep. At least there are two important aspects to it. There's the physique, and then there is the physicality.
Right.
And some characters you need to develop both. With Blackie and Kali Pili, I had to also work on the physique.
Right.
And because I had very less time to transition into suitable boy, I knew that I would not be able to change my physique for Maan. So I did address that with Mira. I said I would be a little bigger and slightly thicker, muscly. And she said it doesn't matter. If anything, it'll work for Maan. She wants him to just look like a healthy boy.
Right.
So the physicality is what started coming to me as I was performing him.
Right.
I think the first scene I shot for was the cricket scene. And there's such in episode 5. I don't know if you remember. But
Right.
So that's the first scene I ever shot for. And Shimit was directing that
episode.
Basically, I was thrown into the thick of it. I had no time to kind of build, and do something small and easy. And then, so I realized that while doing it, there's so much buffoonery and, I realized that it's going to be a physical part. It's going to be his body language will define the character to a large degree. So I started really enjoying that. And again, there was a lot to convey through his body language. A lot of who he is as a person. He's in certain scenes, he's not fully in control of himself.
Yeah.
In certain scenes, he's being like a magnet pulled towards Tabu, and there are no words in that first scene, but you realize that
even the holy scene where you drag the minister onto the that pond. So I think these are all very physical, needed a lot of physical acting. Okay, I move to the next question. You had 3 major tracks in A Suitable Boy. One with Saida Bai, the other one was with your friend Firoz, and the third one, the one which moved me the most, was with your father Mahesh Kapoor, played by Ram Kapoor. Your take.
These were definitely the 3 key relationships. Also with the mother, which didn't have as much screen time. But if I can quickly also mention that, what I thought was beautiful about that relationship is she's just like a fly on the wall. She's just silently present, and her gaze is on him. Her motherly affection and gaze is constantly on Maan. All her energies are with him.
Right.
And then when he loses her, it's like somebody's just pulled the carpet from under his feet. With the father, the relationship was well defined, and we were able to take it a step further because of the interpretation that Miradi decided to give it in some of the scenes. Like I remember in the scene where he's charming his father into giving him an advance on his allowance. We were playing it a certain way, and then she said, I want you to charm him, and he should fall for it. And that was really interesting because the scenes that played after that, they became that much more intense. So yeah, the relationship with the father was beautiful. Even there's a scene in the car when they're driving to Rudhia, and he says that we need a good female speaker, and I think your mother would be the right fit. And he says, I can hardly imagine Ma holding forth on a podium. And he says, no, but they need to see me as a family man. And there's just that look that conveys so much that he's caught up with that, but he's so involved in his work. But it's a complicated family dynamic. There is friction. It's real. It's a real relationship. There's love, but there's also, it's not without its problems.
Yeah.
So that was beautiful. It was really fun to do. Ram sir is a fantastic actor, and he brought his A game. Of course, with Tabu, she brings more than half the magic, and then there's Mira Nair on set, and Declan Quinn shooting it, and so it was just that was just a pleasure. That was probably the least on set. It was at least the least rehearsed in terms of moments just happened all the time. We had about 9 days of work together in that house in the Haveli, and a lot of people on the unit said that it was just their favorite part. It just was wonderful it just happened. There was a beautiful rhythm and momentum to it. Firoz is the relationship that I'd like to speak more about because not many people, it has its own sort of following and fan club now, but it's a very intricate and nuanced relationship. And Miradi's portrayal of it also was very specific. She didn't want to go. It wouldn't work if it was a notch too high or less. So that's something that was really interesting to us, that she wanted to define their relationship in a way that was it was not fully defined. She wanted people to feel as if there's something there. They have a past. They perhaps have had a certain comfort. They do have a comfort physically that suggests that they have been almost like lovers in the past. But it's also the most soulful relationship. They don't need that to, sort of consummate their relationship.
Right.
They're like soulmates. They're
Right.
best friends, and it's actually the relationship that lasts. So that was a very interesting dynamic. And he also there's that scene where in the riots where he throws himself in front of him and he says that he's my brother, and if you touch a single hair on his head, he would. And he just kind of gathers all the capacity for rage he has inside him to save him. So it's a very unique relationship. So that's one that's very close to my heart. And a lot of people keep saying they wanted to see more of Maan and Feroz, but I guess what she wanted was to raise the questions and not answer all of them, and just kind of let it be, which is what their relationship is.
Mira Nair is a bona fide movie legend, India's most prominent face in the West. She spoke very fondly of you when she was on this show a few weeks ago. How does it feel to be a part of a set that has hosted the likes of Richard Gere, Denzel Washington, Hilary Swank, Reese Witherspoon, Natalie Portman, Uma Thurman, and many, many other legends of acting?
Irfan Khan, Tabu,
Irfan,
Denzel
100%,
Washington.
Absolutely. And Irfan has acted not in one, but he has also been a part of the short
New York,
I Love You.
Love You, yeah.
So how does it feel to be a part of a Mira Nair set?
In fact, 3, because Salam Bombay was also...
That's right.
In a way, his debut. The names that you just mentioned are all actors par brilliance, and she really has done such eclectic work and such, path-breaking work. She has bridged the gap in many ways. She's been one of the people that has really brought Indian culture to the world at on a global stage. And so it was an honor. It was an honor to work with her. But on a more personal note, I think she's one of the most wonderful energies to work with. She was also the first female director that I had the pleasure of being an actor for. She's a powerhouse. She's as energetic and enthused as the young actors on set, if not more than most of them, if I may say. She's all out there, and there's a certain chaos on her sets, which, when you're on set, it takes a lot of your energy, but you almost miss it when you're done with it, So it's definitely a special experience, and I would wish it upon any actor who desires that and needs that. So it was a very special experience. I loved working with her, and also she just has a knack for bringing such wonderful people together. It was like a workshop. There were many masters at work. There was Declan Quinn on camera. We had Anil Mehta sir fill in for him for about 5 or 6 days. We had 3 young cameramen on the B unit, and we had Stephanie on production design. Who has done a lot of work with her in the past. Lydia was the executive producer who's, produced all her works before, almost all of them, including The Namesake and, Reluctant Fundamentalist. And it was her team. And then she got on all these actors, a lot of them whom she's worked with before, a lot of them who have never acted before.
A lot of them she has launched. Many of them were launched by it.
It was a very wholesome experience. It was like every day you had somebody... somebody that you admire and somebody whose work you've watched. Every day somebody like that would pop up on set, someone new, so it was really, really enjoyable. I also got to work with a lot of actors that I love and admire, some of which I've recently developed an equation and a friendship with, like Vijay Varma, and also the young actors like Shubham Saraf, who played Feroz. It was really the first time that he did anything in Hindi and Urdu, the limited Hindi and Urdu that he's spoken. And now he's dubbed it in Hindi as well. So for everyone, it was a new experience. There was nobody who knew, exactly what they were going to do. And it wasn't a job. It was an experience. So that was, and I kind of crave that kind of stuff. I'll go seeking that. So I really enjoyed it.
So moving on to Khali Pili, which is now streaming on Z5, and you are paired with another new age star Ananya Pandey. How is it back to be in a quintessential Hindi movie set post Dhadak?
Khali Pili is a film that is very close to my heart. I really enjoyed the process of making it.
Right.
It was met with its many challenges, including weather, scheduling conflicts, and such. But we kind of held each other's hands through it. And by we, I mean myself, Ananya, Makbul Bhai, the director, for whom it's a breakthrough film, and Adil Afsar, the DP, the core team really. And we all really got along, and there was a certain creative energy and a thirst for a hunger, which was there on set every day. We all wanted to really make the most of what we had, and it was a film that was meant, for cinemas, for the big screen experience. It was designed in a certain fashion, and so I mean that's something it's also a role that really excited me, because I would be considered by many too young, because there is a certain prerequisite and a certain a certain relationship with the audience that usually people have to form before they can do a heroic role such as that, a sort of more quintessential with all those
to be convincing, as to be more
to
convincing.
be convincing, I guess. Yeah. I mean, it was great fun for me. On the other hand, I'd like to speak about Ananya as well, because I didn't really know her personally before the film, and it was every day was a surprise with her, because it was, again, even for her, a role that a lot of people wouldn't imagine her in, and it was just so beautiful to see this young actor take it by the horns and do something with it that is entirely her own, and be convincing in that. And I really enjoyed working with her, and she made my job easier. She also sort of made me more calm and relaxed, because I'm really high strung, and sort of sometimes I can be a little chaotic as well, and I can get stressed out easily. And she, like if, for example, a day of work isn't working and there's a weather problem or something like that, she would balance and center me. So she was serving multiple purposes on the set, and of course she was lovely in the film, and she is lovely to look at. So it was an all-round sort of enjoyable experience to work with her. And yeah, so that was great fun. After Dhadak, again, it was very different, even though it's a mainstream film. A very different energy, a very different kind of story. It was more of a Bonnie and Clyde-ish, sort of high, caper. It's a caper. We would call it a caper. So yeah.
Talk a bit about your upcoming projects, Pipa and Phone Booth. And are you excited about sharing screenplays with Katrina in the latter?
Of course I am. She's somebody that has been, an idol and a screen idol, somebody that we have all admired, and one has heard so much about her work ethic. So I imagine it will be another inspiring experience to work with her.
So when do you start these movies?
Phone Booth should begin in December. As per reports, it says the production begins in Goa, but it's actually in Mumbai. So yeah, I mean, both these films again are very different from each other, are very different from the work that I've done before. So yet again, I'm on my toes, because with Phone Booth, it's the first time that I'll be foraying into comedy. Horror and comedy are both genres that I am a fan of as an audience.
Okay.
And I'm getting to have a crack at both of them in this horror comedy. I'm also working with Siddhant, who's a friend, and our rapport is really a very big part of the film, and so that's something I'm excited about. Gurmeet Singh will be directing it, who is just coming off Mirzapur 2. Incidentally, we both had our OTT releases on the same day. So again, it's a new team. It's Farhan and Ritesha producing it. It's an XL Pictures production. So again, a very exciting new team to work with. And then Pipa is something that I consider a great opportunity, and it's a solid script, and I think Raja sir has wonderful control over his craft, and he's somebody that I'm really looking forward to working with. And again, it's a wonderful team. It's Ronnie sir, Ronnie Screwvala, and Siddharth Roy Kapoor producing that film. It is the next war film that he's mounting in that way after Uri, which was a gargantuan success, and it's a very important story, and it's one that hasn't been told before, and it's also visually going to be very interesting because it's a war film that is playing out with amphibious tanks, and we've not seen that kind of action in our films. The PT-76 amphibious tanks that were used in the 71 war, the Russian tanks.
Right.
So I'll be playing a tank commander in that film. Right. It is based on the life of Brigadier Balram Singh Mehta, and it is the first time that I'll be playing a character inspired by or based on a real person. So that is a huge responsibility, and again, something that I'm on my toes about. So yeah, there's no...
That also an army brigadier.
That too, an army brigadier, somebody who's a cavalryman, have very distinct individual personalities, and they have the most amazing stories to tell. So to be able to capture a sense of what they are like in the 2-hour, usually 2-hour duration that feature film formats are, it'll be a huge responsibility, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm really looking forward to the experience of Pippa, because I think it'll be one that I can learn a lot from as a person as well. So again, completely opposite spaces from each other. Something that I'm really excited about, because I'm getting to do a war film and a horror comedy, and in a sense, it's like an extension of the rhythm that I've had so far. I've been able to do things that are different, but it's a little nerve-wracking because
the preparations will be very different for both the films.
That's true. That's true.
How close? What's your relationship with Shahid? And do you guys discuss? Do you take any advice from him as far as your career is concerned? So what's the relationship all about?
It may sound obvious, but I feel I need to say this. There is a lot of love, very different kind of love, because he has, he'd love to say this, but changed my diapers. And, I've been, he's been almost like a father figure. He was almost 15 when I was born. And, he's seen me grow up, and of course looks at me and looks out for me in a very different way. I, on the other hand, look up to him. I always will. He's my elder brother. Before anything else, before being a movie star and before being any of that, he's my bada bhai. And I think that dynamic...
And वो भी 200 crore ka star. So
yeah, 300 to be
300,
precise.
300.
But God knows how many more crore hearts he has won, which is the thing that I am more proud of. He's able to move people with his work, and that's what we all do it for. I mean, it just there's a different satisfaction in being able to do something that you love, that people are able to be entertained by, or perhaps even inspired by. So that's something we share. I mean, we share the passion for this, and of course he gives me advice every now and then. I think he consciously chooses not to overload me with advice, because he wants me to have my own journey and make my own choices. And that is, again, a wonderful quality. He's very thoughtful. That he thinks for the best of the other. And that's what I mean when I say he looks out for me, because he wants me to have my own journey, but he also wants me to learn from his mistakes. So every once in a while, he'll tell me, Ishaan, you're being naive, and trust me, I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I mean, it's always going to be that kind of relationship. But also at the same time, we're boys. He's young at heart. He has two sides to him. I like to call him Baba Sasha. He's like the wise old sage, and then he's also like a young boy, just enthused and excited about life. And so we have a lot of things that we share the passion for. We love dancing, we love films, we love traveling, we love riding motorbikes, we love vehicles, but we recently did a trip where we went riding together. So yeah, I mean, it's special. But again, it's the bada bhai chota bhai quintessential dynamic that way. He'll always play that card with me, and I love it. And I'm ever so fortunate, because he also teaches me a great deal and a lot of values. He keeps me in check. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I love your ads for Munch Nuts with Great Khali and Spotify with Anil Kapoor. So do you like this 30-second shorter format of storytelling?
Yes, very much so. But also the common link in both the ads that you mentioned is Shakun Batra, who directed both the Munch and the multiple Spotify ads. And it's that much more satisfying and enjoyable an experience when you have somebody like him. Even though it's a product commercial and it's 30 seconds, he finds something to do with it, and we're able to have a good time, and he finds his way of telling a story in 30 seconds. And he's one of the most promising young filmmakers, one of the most brilliant young filmmakers that we have in our country. And so it was just a joy to work with him. And I enjoy it as much, for sure. I mean, it's all storytelling, these are all different ways, and it requires adapting. Now I've been a part of a 6-hour, long form cinema format, 2-hourly, traditional Hindi film formats, and then these 30-seconders. They all, but our job is really the same, but it's all equally enjoyable, for sure. Especially when you have, it's all about who you're working with, and Shakun made those ads for me.
Quick and one-word answer. Favorite actor and director?
Al Pacino and Scorsese.
Favorite holiday destination?
Pahalgam in Kashmir.
Places on your bucket list. You can name 3.
I want to go to Africa, Spain, and I want to see the Northern Lights.
Thank you, Ishaan, for talking to me on Teachers Glasses presents Bollywood Talkies with Outlook. Stay safe, enjoy the success of A Suitable Boy, and all the best for your future endeavors. Thank you very much.
And you, sir. Stay safe yourself. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you. I was summoned by the casting director, Hani Trehan.
Okay.
And he told me nothing about the film. He said, you have to come and meet me. Just come and meet me. And at the time, he was aware that I had already met with Karan Johar. I was, again, summoned by Karan Johar to his office. And he wanted he was making a film with young actors, and he wanted to see if I would fit the bill. And so Hani sir was aware of the fact that I had met with Karan sir. He said, I know that you are doing this, but just come and meet me because there is an opportunity I want to talk to you about. And I went and I met him. I had assisted him on Urta Punjab. He was the second unit director and the casting director. Right. And he then went on to tell me that there is a film that is being directed by Majidi in India, which blew my mind, obviously. And he said that I see you in the character, and I'd like for you to meet him. And in a few days, he had me in a room with him. I met with Majidi sir, and he asked me a few very basic questions. This is Mr. Majid Majidi. And he said, can you ride a bike? And then he said, do you do any physical activity? And then he told me that he would do an audition, and he gave me a brief of the character. He said he's a young boy, he smuggles drugs, and he has grown up on his own from the age of 13. And then he gave me a couple of scenes from the film, and he said, just improvise the rest and show me what you've got, basically. And that's how that happened. And I auditioned for him, and the next day he said, lock him.